Well, millennials are being priced out of home ownership, and according to some new research from Mercer, that could cost them when it comes to retirement. Joining us live with more of the findings here is Jillian Kennedy, partner and leader of Defined Contribution and Financial Wellness at Mercer Canada. Jillian, good to talk to you this afternoon. Let's talk about this. What have you found for millennials who can own a home, what this is going to mean really to their futures and really the rest of their lives?
Yeah, very good question. So what we found when we did our study and we projected this forward was really a couple of things. First of all, those millennials that own their home would be able to retire at age 65, versus those who rented would actually not be able to retire until age 68. But really the biggest findings is that the person who actually rents has to save 50% more than the person who owns their home.
It seems obvious why, but I'll let you answer that. Why is it that if you rent, you need more money saved?
It really is about a level of equity. When we think about retirement savings, right, it's a three-legged stool. It's about government benefits, it's about personal savings, it's about equity. And your home ownership makes up a big part of that equity. But I also want you to think about flexibility. So owning a home and having any amount of equity in retirement allows for, different types of tools and resources to be able to sustain a good quality of life. Right now, we're seeing that millennials who, might not even be able to afford a down payment. They've done everything right throughout their career, getting into the workplace. And so really it's about, making sure that there's this confidence that we can continue to support this generation in home ownership.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Home ownership right now is absolutely a challenge, especially in and around the GTA. So Jillian, you've crunched the numbers. Is your sense, or did you look at whether millennials are even understanding or aware of what this may mean to them, especially if they can't own a home or don't own a home?
When we take a look at the research and take a look at the data, we do see that there's this kind of feeling of, well, I'll get to that later, or this is something that I don't have to think about now. Retirement's a really long time away. And we also see evidence that, there's a lack of financial confidence in general. Building wealth, understanding wealth, being empowered in making sure that all those things line up for a future self when you really need that is something that definitely we see needs to be paid attention to. And that financial confidence goes a long way.
Right, the longer you put it off, the more you've got to try to sort of save later in the game. So what are some of the bigger mistakes, Jillian, that whether it's millennials or anybody really is making when it comes to, saving or making sure you find some sort of retirement plan?
Yeah, the first thing that we found is that the average Canadian actually has access to retirement plans within their workplace. And actually, often there's things like matching programs or discounts in investment fees. And we find there's really, really low participation. So number one, take advantage of your workplace programs. Number two is build that financial confidence. Don't put it off. Take a look at your budgeting. Take a look at what you're spending. When you get into retirement, it becomes really about your quality of life. So start paying attention to that right now. And then also I have to say that this generation has shown a lot of resiliency, and I'll continue to be watching to see how they adapt.
I mean, it really is going to be the name of the game, right? I mean, we had a poll that came out the other day, I can't remember which firm it was from, talking about the fact that a lot of people believe that when they do retire, they actually plan on having a sort of gig job, as it were, just to kind of make ends meet. You talked about that three-legged stool. This kind of seems to be the new normal.
Absolutely. I think what we want to avoid is a surprise, right? A lot of our data shows us that as high as 60% of people going to retirement just kind of crossing their fingers. They take a look at their monthly income and they're very surprised by what they're seeing. And again, it comes down to that quality of life and making sure you don't outlive your savings and are in a situation where, potentially you're really impacted by that rent that you continue to pay in retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, interesting conversation. Jillian Kennedy, partner and leader of Defined Contribution and Financial Wellness at Mercer Canada. Good numbers today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.